Biomedical engineering is a very incredible, complex area of study. It combines the science of engineering with the art of medicine. Engineers are literally solving some of the world's most complex problems by focusing on medicine with biology and combining it again with engineering. At the University of Texas, it is known that the biomedical engineering major is arguably one of the most competitive majors to get accepted into. Some people say acceptance rates are in the single digits as well. So join us as we speak with Katherine Jones, one of our former scholars. Katherine's going to share with us how the first year experience has been at the University of Texas. In the biomedical engineering department, Katherine actually received a full ride to study this major and has been admitted into the honors program as well. So here we go, hook 'em horns. And Katherine, welcome. So this is a really exciting interview because you are in that major that a lot of folks are dreaming about. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. So yeah, my name is Katherine. Hello. I am from Austin, been living here for about 10 years now. Anyone who lives in Austin, I went to Austin High. And yes, I'm a first year biomedical engineering major at UT. I'm in the Women in Engineering program, which is super amazing. And like within the major, my interests would be like coding and 3D modeling is what I like hope to specialize in. And outside of school, I really like kayaking, I like baking, I like cooking, outdoorsy kind of stuff. So yeah, that's just a bit about me.
So awesome. And tell us, all right, so your first year at UT, how has it been so far? I mean, what have been some of your experiences? What are some things that you're really enjoying? And tell us about the honors program too, because I know you're in the honors program.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a really good year. It's been a great year. I feel like it's definitely been a lot different from high school. Pretty refreshing actually, because I feel like I get a lot more control of my time. Like I spend like only a few hours a day in classes, so I really get like a lot of time to choose to like study, or like I have the time to look into things I'm interested in, because it's like I felt in high school like a lot of the time I'm just spending all my time to get the assignments done, but now it's like I hear something in class that I'm interested in, and now I have the time to like look into that and see like, is this something I want to do like research on? Is this something I want to get to know better and things like that? And the courses have been super fun. Like it's really great to actually see like all the stuff that I learned in high school like kind of in practice. Like I'm in a chemistry lab, I'm in a biomedical engineering lab, and it's like I actually get to like build things. I get to do like science experiments. Like, you know, I get to go to class every day and put on like a lab coat and goggles, and like it's just super like exciting stuff. And so yeah, it's been really fun, and also it's been like a very solidifying experience of like knowing that this is actually what I want to do with my life. Because like I feel like everyone gets kind of like the jitters like going to college, like am I like making a mistake, is this really what I want to do? But like genuinely, like even the classes that I thought I would hate, I end up like loving still. And it's just like, and also just the thing about UT is like they make it easy for you to like have a good time even when like you might have like a lot of work to do, but there's still kind of like some fun stuff to do on campus. You know, like during finals they had like a petting zoo in my dorm. Like they had goats and little Christmas outfits. Like there's a lot of like opportunities to kind of like let loose, have fun, while also like there's a lot of resources for like schoolwork and things like that.
Well, let's back up for a second. First of all, how did you know that you wanted to go into biomedical engineering? Like why, out of everything you could have studied, why this field? What is it that you're wanting to solve, kind of accomplish?
Yeah, so that was kind of like, it was a very long process of coming to that decision. Like I've been in engineering classes since I was in sixth grade, so like about 7 years taking engineering courses, and it was always like I didn't really like the whole like civil engineering track. I didn't think like aerospace or anything would be good for me, like chemical engineering. And then I learned about biomedical engineering, which, you know, like it's a pretty like new-ish major and things like that. And once I did more research into it and I saw like a really good thing about biomedical engineering, which kind of like draw me towards it, is because it's just a very broad like major.
Yeah.
Like you can go the more like sciencey route, you can go more like computing route, like building, like there's a lot of really good like options depending on where your like interests lie. And I just had a lot of like good experiences with like 3D modeling in high school. That's something that I had a lot of interest in. And then I saw that I could do some really great things with 3D modeling and biomedical engineering. Like some people go into like prosthetics, some people go into making like artificial organs, artificial veins, things like that. And that was something I found a lot of interest in. And then once I got into my first year, then I started learning coding and I was like, this is something that I really, really love. And there's a lot of like fun ways you can go about using those skills in biomedical engineering. So I think it was more like assigning my skills to something that I could be like passionate about was what led me to choose.
So yeah, and you mentioned a good point because it is kind of a newer field. So for somebody that doesn't really know what this is, they've heard of biomedical engineering, they know it's ultra competitive to get into. But in your words, like what is biomedical engineering? Like how do you describe it to folks that really don't quite understand? They want to know, I mean, are you doing biology? Is it engineering? How is it a mix of both? Like how do you describe what biomedical engineering is? So the common person that may have no clue.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. Like even like we've had lessons in my classes about how to define biomedical engineering, but it's really just about taking like the engineering mindset and putting it towards medical problems. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. You can go the chemical route, you can go like the biology route, you can go like the like building route, but it's just more about taking some really big problems in the medical field that need solving and doing it less in like a doctor sense of like patient by patient, here's how we solve problems, but creating solutions that can change the lives of like many, many people. So just kind of like finding these small problems that might seem small and solving them, which can make a huge difference in the medical field.
Interesting, amazing. Tell me, because you're right, it doesn't have what you're doing now is going to have could have a global impact on society, which is scary and exciting at the same time. No pressure, by the way. But what is like going into these classes, and you've obviously been learning a lot your first year. Like, what is something that you really do think that you would love to solve or work on? I mean, are there any passion projects that you're really kind of gravitating towards? Especially, as we're coming out of this pandemic, I mean, it's just been crazy. So when you think about your future, what are some things that you're starting to recognize or realize that you're like, you know what, I think that that might be my calling?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I found interest in. Like I want to go into research, so because of that, I'm always like looking into like my professors, like seeing what research they're doing. And one of the projects that I'm hoping to work on, I've applied twice, but they don't think I have the coding knowledge yet, so I'm still learning to kind of get there. But it's one of the professors here at UT is doing a research program on using like computing to help women who have survived breast cancer like decide on reconstruction strategies, because it's a big issue of sometimes doctors will take their own opinion and kind of force that onto female patients when looking at reconstruction. But using computing, you can like use codes to help people decide what would be best for them medically, like looking at like the way their body is, like how they can best do a breast reconstruction, and just helping like women who have survived breast cancer like find their confidence again, like to be able to feel feminine in their own in a way that is best for them instead of just using the doctor's opinion to kind of like choose that. So that's something I definitely want to work on. And then we also had in one of my classes the other day, we had a talk by a former professor who now works on improving healthcare for infants, who talks about how there's a lot of great resources for infants, but in like third world countries, it's really hard to get access to them. So it's more adjusting the technology to fit the needs of places that don't really have like the same resources that like American hospitals do. Like creating resources that don't require like electricity, they don't require a lot of knowledge to use. And so babies can grow up to be like strong and healthy because it's a very like important part of their life to be growing, and just improving technology to kind of fit the needs of where it would be, which is something I've always been really interested in because, as much technology as we have, there's going to be a lot of places that are like not even close to having the technology as in the US. So kind of like helping like close that gap and make sure everyone's getting like good healthcare.
Yeah, awesome. And tell me, I know because you're in the honors program, so somebody, because UT has so many honors programs and it can get a little bit confusing. Which honors program should I apply to? What is an honors program? Just briefly, can you maybe share with the viewers about the honors program you're in? Why did you apply to this honors program? What was why even do an honors program? Do you have any advice?
So it's kind of interesting with the biomedical engineering honors. It's not too different than normal track. You do get like some benefits in like registering for classes and things like that. But the most important part is just you get an opportunity to do kind of like a senior project to kind of like show off the skills that you've been learning, which is kind of why I decided to apply, because I find it like important to be able to like show like the work that I've been doing and like be able to put it into like real world like applications, which would especially help like I feel like a lot of people in this major want to go to graduate school, and it can make like a huge difference being in the honors program and doing that senior project. So that's why I decided to do it. But it doesn't really change like kind of like my day to day that much. But it can be really beneficial for getting a job after college or applying to graduate school.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, this is the last question. I'm sorry, I'm like firing these questions at you. I promise you're almost done. There's a lot of high school students out there watching this right now. What advice do you have for them about, applying to this particular major, either at UT or any universities? I mean, they're in high school now and they're obviously working really hard. They're trying to get really good grades, and no one really thought the SATs or the ACTs are that fun. And, some schools are limited in resources. I mean, you kind of experienced that along the way. So to that person who says, I want to go and I know that I want to study biomedical engineering, what advice do you have for them that's watching?
I've heard especially from like UT, like talking to my academic advisors and things like that, like the people who are deciding on who gets to go. A really, really important thing in biomedical engineering is like showing passion, because the thing is, it's a very difficult program, and it doesn't have to be that difficult when it's like work you care about. But if you don't love what you're doing, it becomes a lot harder. And so like, I mean, at UT, you can't get into the major unless it's your first choice. Like, and that just kind of like goes to show like it's really important that you want to do this. And so I think that played a big part in me getting in, was that my high school didn't have a lot of like resources for people going into biomedical engineering, but like I did things on my own, like taking online classes, like doing a like self project to show my like modeling skills and things like that. And I think that made a huge difference. Like it's really important that you're passionate about it, because it becomes a lot less fun if you're like dreading the work. And it's definitely important to like, at least a UT and probably most other universities, it's really important that you want to be doing it and that you're passionate about it, because that's really like, that's what the major is for, like giving you the skills to change the world if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Katherine, you make us all proud, and you're working so hard. And from one Longhorn to another, it's just a pleasure to really stay connected with you. Thank you for sharing so much with the viewers and inspiring them. And I wish you the best of luck at UT. Hook 'em horns.
Oh, thanks so much. Welcome.